Hello and welcome to round 14 coverage of Grand Prix Sacramento. I'm Brian David Marshall, joined in the booth by Jake Van Linden, and we are watching Mark Jacobson playing against John Walski. And neither player doing anything too exciting in the early game here. Mark Jacobson, of course, one of our featured drafters at this table. Got a chance to watch him draft. How did that draft go, Jake, when you were watching it?
Well, right here, we're going to see how that draft went. Satyr Enchanter. Mark Jacobson has a deck that has 2 copies of this powerful uncommon and lots of enchantments to go with them. He also has 2 Druid of the Horns.
Oh, boy.
He is very, very capable.
Is this real life?
Of just going off with this green-white deck. In the first round, we watched him just do disgusting things with these 2 cards right here.
And now, there is Druid of the Horn. And John Walski's reading these cards. He's double-checking because, again, this is not I've tried to make this happen online, and I've not had a lot of luck with it. And you see John Walski like, okay, let me take a look at these cards because I have not seen a lot of them in play against me. John Walski stumbled a little bit on land, found an Omen Speaker, which looks like it got him to a 3rd land here. And let's see what Mark Jacobson can do to follow up with these 2 creatures. I'm just going to attack here.
Yeah, now John Walski has a Disperse in hand, I saw.
All right, well, Mark Jacobson's just going to play a Thornhide Wolves. And now this is something you've talked about a lot, like the idea of spending 2 mana to make your opponent replay a 5-mana spell. And that's exactly what John's going to do here, but can only pass the turn. No 4th land still.
Yeah, he did, however, draw an Essence Scatter, so he can deal with that Thornhide Wolves on its way back down onto the battlefield.
And Mark Jacobson is content to just attack. Sneak 2 points of damage through. Omen Speaker soaks up one of the attackers, but can't deal with it on any kind of permanent basis.
It looks like Mark does have an Oakenform in hand, which right now draws him a card and makes 6 points of power and toughness, but perhaps doesn't want to cast that into the open mana of John Walski.
Yeah, well, here's a Militia Bugler. That gets Essence Scattered, and then Mark plays a land and deploys Gearper Guide. All right, so there's a Hydra from John Walski.
It's hungry.
Yeah, it's very hungry, but it only had a snack. Yeah. It comes down as a 2/2.
As a 2/2, I imagine its first meal will likely be too large.
Yeah, the Hungering Hydra. Well, there is Oakenform, and now we're going to see Mark Jacobson going off. He makes a 3/3 Beast token with the Dryad. He draws a card with the Satyr Enchanter. This is pretty exciting. You know, he even can wait a turn and make it unblockable with the Gearper Guide.
Just an embarrassment of riches right now for Mark Jacobson. And with 2 copies of Satyr Enchanter, with 2 copies of Druid of Horns, with all these powerful enchantments, he even has a Hieromancer's Cage. It's just
he's going to go with a Rabid Bite here. And, yeah, again, his eyes were bigger than his stomach. And the Rabid Bite brings down the Hungering Hydra. John Walski hoping to find a little more land here in this game, too. He was definitely scuffling that entire game. All right, so it goes straight up to 3 lands. We see a 4th in hand. We'll get a look at what his deck is able to do. Starts off with a Loxodon Linebreaker. Little Elephant Soldier action. And Pegasus Courser is the play from Mark Jacobson.
And Pegasus Courser, while on surface, a much better card than Loxodon Linebreaker. Loxodon Linebreaker matches up very nicely here.
Yeah. I would also buy a Loxodon Linebreaker action figure. I love that card.
Yeah, the art is just awesome.
Here is a Star-Crowned Stag, a card that's competing right now with Satyr Enchanter for the card of the match leaderboard.
Yeah, that's true.
They both have been named card of the match twice, and really looking to see which one of them could pull out ahead.
And this match could be the decider for that, by the way. Mark Jacobson also has a Star-Crowned Stag that we saw pick up early on in Pack 3.
So now it's Mark's turn to be a little bit less than perfect in his mana development. Oh, there's his Star-Crowned Stag. But not the same kind of draw we saw from him in Game 1 where he went, Enchanter into Dryad of Horns. Druid. Yeah, Druid of Horns, sorry. All right. So attack for 6. Follow that up with a Gearsmith Guardian. A nice curve here from John Walski when he has his mana.
It just went 3, 4, 5. And Mark Jacobson's looking like he's in quite a bit of trouble here.
You see Mark's holding a Plummet, nothing to target with it.
We saw that Plummet be very, very strong against a Demon of Catastrophes in
that is
the last
a
round.
very aptly named card in that scenario.
Yes.
Terrified of that card. All right, so just an attack from the Pegasus. Thornhide Wolves is the play.
Yeah, now this attack sets up Mark so that regardless of which creature gets tapped by John, he can still attempt to either block or trade with the Stag. Funny that Thornhide Wolves, that 5 toughness, very important in this format. A card like Fire Elemental rarely even makes main decks, whereas Thornhide Wolves has proven itself to be a pretty nice combo
I gotta tell you, I've seen a lot of Fire Elementals this weekend, far more than I was expecting coming in. All right, and John Walski is attacking with everybody. He's going to tap the Wolves. And Mark Jacobson cannot block quickly enough. But John Walski's going to make a stand here. His creatures are going to be indestructible, and he's going to get in for a big chunk of damage.
Yeah, Mark's
Mark
at
Jacobson's
3 now,
life
right?
total. Yeah, he is down to 3, and things are not looking good for him. Though he does have a Dwarven Priest there. Gains a little bit of life back, goes up to 6.
And this Courser now going to be on jump block duty.
Oh, boy. There's the Disperse.
Yeah, I think this is probably it.
All right, John Walski's going to attack with everybody. Yeah, all the creatures have 3 power, so as long as 2 of them get through, that was going to be lethal for John. Here we are, already on to Game 3. See if Mark can find some of those really explosive cards that he had in Game 1. He would love to see a Satyr Enchanter here on turn 2. And he does have it on turn 3, but Essence Scatter from John Walski.
Yeah, and just the perfect card to have in that spot. Essence Scatter, a card that...
oh, boy, and Dwarven Priest just gains 1 life. Is that a Star-Crowned Stag? Of course it is. Oh, boy, I got to tell you, I know who's winning this horse race now. It is not the Satyr Enchanter sitting in that graveyard. But here's Knightly Valor from Mark Jacobson. So he's going to have a 4/6, gets to attack with it. I assume attack with it there. Right?
Yeah, I also assume that he had attacked with
I
it.
didn't see the life totals change, but... oh, there you go. All right, so that was a Knightly Valor was a nice draw there from Mark Jacobson.
Also, playing against cards like Disperse, it can be nicer to have a card with a come into play ability, like the Dwarven Priest, to put those enchantments on.
Yeah, the Dwarven Priest gets returned to his hand. He's going to play a Pegasus Courser and hold back on the Priest. The later he plays it, the more creatures on the board, the better the position will be, and that Pegasus lets him get some nice attacks. Look at this. Is that Knight's?
Another Knightly Valor.
It's also Knightly Valor. Okay,
yeah.
I couldn't see if it was Knight's Pledge or Knightly Valor, but he's reaching for a token. He tapped 5 mana, so of course that's what it is. And now he has, well, a 5/5 doesn't tap to attack Starcrown Stag.
And the thing about Starcrown Stag is that blocking becomes very bad when your opponent has a Starcrown Stag, and you really need to just turn the game into a race, kill the Stag, or have an abundance of blockers in order to deal with that card.
Well, there's a Knight's Pledge from Mark Jacobson. He gets to attack for 4 in the air with his token. He plays a Colossal Majesty. If his creature lives to his turn, he'll get to start drawing some cards. See that big paw about to thunder down on the ground there in the card art.
Yeah, and this is a card that, when looking through his deck list, you'd be surprised he's playing it because of how few 4-power creatures he has. But, a nice Aleanan War Leader here.
All right, so 2 card there. You see the Aleanan War Leader.
This is one of the better rares in the set.
Yeah, 4/4 for 4. Pretty good to begin with. We've talked about those stats on something like the Aerial Engineer, but also, makes 2 creatures, 2 cat creatures every time. This is a card that's actually seen play in Standard 5/0 to League.
Yeah, I mean, it's just incredible. I mean, it's attacking for 6, basically, the first time around. It's making lifelinkers. It's flooding the board. It combos nicely with the Stag because your opponent has trouble leaving back enough blockers to just gobble up those lifelink cats. And it also incentivizes your opponent to not be attacking you back or trying to race you, because if they do, suddenly those cats start living turn after turn. And it just plays perfectly into White's plan in this limited environment.
Yeah. Keep in mind the players winning this match are very likely to be able to draw in the last round into the top 8. So this is a huge match for Mark Jacobson and John Walski. If you lose this, probably just out of contention. I haven't looked at the standings yet. It seems very unlikely that an X and 3 would be able to make it. Usually just X2 and 1 is the record you need.
Yeah, John Walski just with so much power on his side of the table, these cards. And Mark Jacobson, when he was drafting his deck, this was one of the better decks I've seen in this format. Having to play against somebody who's dispersing.
Yeah, well, that's really
rough.
the knock on the Auras deck.
Mm-hmm.
Early on in the format, people were putting a much higher priority on disperses and totally losts, and that's dialed back. But they're still at the table, and there's still people who are going to want to have that access to those cards. But you know what? We see Mark gets to keep pressuring John. John's down to 6, and suddenly, things are getting a little scary for John Walski.
Yeah, and having those 2 creatures, being able to double spell that turn was super important for Mark, because now, even with that Stag tapping down a blocker, it means that Mark's going to be able to gobble up those 2 cats, live to tell the tale.
Oh boy, here's an Omen Speaker.
We also know that Mark has that Priest as the last card in his hand, and that can gain him quite a bit of life now that he has these 4 creatures in the battlefield.
Yeah, kind of a time walk for him.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, he's drawing 2 cards a turn here, thanks to that Knight's Pledge that's stuck on that Knight token. You see John Walski reading Garapor Guide. Wow.
Yeah, right now he could be potentially worried that the Garapor Guide in conjunction with that Courser could just win the game. And it very well could if John isn't careful about the way he decides to attack under block. The Starcrown Stag having Vigilance. Very important here for John.
Yeah.
That matters
All
a
right,
lot.
Well, here comes the team. You're going to tap your Knight's Pledged Knight. There's 2 cat tokens. How do you block here if you're Mark Jacobson?
I think that I gobble up the tokens and go to 1.
Yeah, because he'd be letting 9 damage through. Is the Knight token attacking also?
Oh, the knight token is probably attacking also, in which case, yeah, that doesn't work. So probably, I guess you double block the war leader and go to 1.
All right, well, Mark Jacobson trying to figure out. He does get to gain 1 life in combat.
Yes.
From his Daybreak Chaplain.
Yeah, I'm taking that into account. All these blocks I'm saying end up having him take 9 damage. Oh, so he's just thinking about a chump here. I like this a lot.
So he chumps there, eats a cat there. And that's him taking 7.
Yeah, so he would go down to 3 there. His chaplain would survive. Then he gets to draw 2 cards, and he has that Dwarven Priest.
And maybe maybe finds an Oaken form.
Yeah.
Right? Like
he has multiple copies. He's going to be drawing more than 1 card this turn. Or John also jumping up to 8 this turn. So it would
that's why it would have to be an Oaken form
or
some other kind of power enhancing another Knightly Valor or a Knight's Pledge or
those are
no, it has
one
to actually
shy.
be Oaken form. Yeah,
Oaken form is
he needs to gain 3.
The exact amount. Yeah,
how many Oaken forms does Mark Jacobson have?
2.
Whew. And he's going to draw 2 cards this turn unless John Walski has some sort of way to bounce that Knight token.
Yep.
Any Titanic growths or anything like that?
No, nothing like that. And it's only 1 Oaken form. I'm sorry. It's 2 of the Knightly Valor.
Okay, remember, he still does also have the Dwarven Priest.
Mm-hmm. But John's attack's only going to be bigger on the following turn.
That's true. That's true. All right, so that's how he decides to block. Takes 4, takes 7 total, gains 1, manages to eat 1 of the tokens. Oh, no, and there's a Snapping Drake post-combat. And that foils all the plans for an Oaken form.
Yeah, and the Gearport Guide plan, too. It looks like he found a...
He's got a Dryad of Horns, Dwarven Priest, and a Cavalry Drill Master. Can't actually double spell. Doesn't have 2 white there.
Yeah, he can't double spell the Priest. He would have to cast the Druid of the Horns and the Drill Master, but that would leave him dead on board. So I think even if he casts the Dwarven Priest, he's in a pretty bad spot. I think, yeah. It looks like Mark Jacobson's incredible Aura deck.
All right, well, he attacks with the Knighted creature. Gets the Dwarven Priest down, goes to 7. Can he survive this attack somehow? So the Pegasus, but he's going to, John's going to just tap the flyer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is fascinating.
I think John may just tap the Knight again.
Just tap the biggest thing on the table?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see how he proceeds. Still 2 cards in hand for him.
It looked like John was not working with much in hand, but he has plenty on the table here.
Everything's coming in. And remember, he's going to get 2 more cat tokens. And that's all 3 points of life gain that he's going to get as well. Pulling this game out of range for Mark Jacobson. Everything's attacking.
But he's tapping down the Priest here?
Yeah, he tapped down the Priest. And Mark Jacobson's trying to, all right, how do I stay alive? What can I, not just stay alive, but how can I stay alive and possibly win on my next turn? What can I do? So he's got his 4-4 in front of the 2-2 right now. This would put him to 1.
This would put him to 1.
Would put John to 11.
Yeah.
And it also would not deal with any of those cat tokens that just keep going wider and wider.
Yeah, and that's the thing about the cat tokens from the War Leader in conjunction with a card like Star Crown Stag, is that your opponent's so disincentivized from blocking, but then because they're not blocking, your board just keeps getting wider and wider and wider. And the War Leader just getting completely out of hand here.
Yeah, sorry, Satyr Enchanter. I think we have a new front runner.
Yeah.
For card of the match. This Star Crown Stag has just dominated the game for John Walski.
Yeah, we've been seeing them all weekend, and I thought it only appeared right before the winter solstice, but it's, it's just everywhere.
Wow. All right, well, there's a Pegasus Courser for John Walski. 2 cards drawn from Mark Jacobs, and he extends the hand. John Walski goes to 12-2, and he is in great shape for a top 8 berth here at Grand Prix Sacramento. Wow, that was amazing. I don't think there's any question as to what the card of the match could be, right, Jake?
I don't think so either. Star Crown Stag, hands down.
Yeah, this is just, again, Territorial Hammerskull was, a first pick consensus best common, not too long ago in draft. And now Star Crown Stag has just really shined very brightly every time we've seen it in play. Just a super reasonable body, but, if you can get out on a front foot in a game, you can really just punish your opponent, make it really difficult for them to do anything.
Yeah, a lot of the time we discuss cards in Limited. We talk about how good they are when we're ahead, how good they are when we're behind, and how good they are when we're even with our opponent. Star Crown Stag is one of these cards that's incredible when we're ahead. It is so good when we're ahead. And when we're at parity, it turns us into being ahead. Things we're behind, it's not great. It's a hill giant, but that's fine. But in two of those areas, it is just an incredible, very powerful card.
All right, well, we've got more round 14 Magic to show you. It's coming up right after these messages. welcome back. We have more round 14 action for you here. We're going to have Nick Golis versus Yam Wing Chun. Let's head down to the floor and see how this match played out. Again, this is a win and in theory. You know, things can still go wrong in that last round. But step one, win round 14. That's what Yam Wing Chun and Nick Golis are looking to do. Yam Wing Chun, of course, very famously from Pro Tour Ixalan, where with the Hazaret play.
Yeah, against Paulo.
Yeah, it was pretty huge, but a great sport. Was very willing to talk about it. You know, even immediately after the event, later on at the World Championship, talked to us a little bit about how, you know, what went through his head in that match. It was you know, just always good to see people willing to talk about how those things play out, and he's just been a lot of fun to watch play Magic.
He also has, you know, taken that mistake, which was being watched by tens of thousands of people, and he's been able to overcome that. Like, we've been seeing him weekend after weekend just crushing Grand Prix now deep in these tournaments. And
he signs
everybody.
Hazarets all the time.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, I made this huge mistake in front of all these people, but no, I'm actually very, very good.
Oh, yeah. So Anaki Ogre for Yam Wing Chun facing off against Golis' Plague Mare. And it's just like a Plague Mare just kind of doesn't really have that ability in this case. Oh.
Nice, a Gore Howl. Terror of Carl Sisma.
Yeah, this is a pretty beefy creature with a huge ability. As long as you control a creature with power 4 or more, you get a +1/+1 and trample bonus on your attacking creatures. I think we're going to see a little bit of... it's a hired blade. They always have the hired blade.
From both?
Both creatures are going to get in the way of Gore Claw. Let's see if Yam has anything he can do. It's a 5/4. Oh, I'm sorry. It's a 9/8. Titanic Growth.
It's a ton of damage because that Gore Claw is trampling there because it has the trigger. And when he tapped that 3 mana, I thought it was going to be one of his 3 Thornhide Wolves. I was very scared that because Gore Claw also makes your 4 power creatures cost 2 less to cast.
Wow. So there's Elvish Rejuvenator, finds a land, and he's just showing off now while Nick Golis is still kind of stuck on 3 lands here. Not even kind of. He is.
Yeah.
Skymarch Bloodletter is his play. And Yam Wing Chun is going to be able to close this game out in pretty short order. Was that a Spitfire that just went into his hand?
It looked like it could have been... I'm looking at his red cards here. I'm not sure.
Okay.
It may have been a Shock.
Okay.
Which would still win the game this turn.
All right, well, here goes. Attack with everybody. Get his little bonus. Wow, it's down to 1. There, oh my gosh, there's a Havoc Demon. Nick Golis, what can you possibly draw here? You know, he's holding white cards in his hand. Is not only just mana screwed, he's also color screwed. And Nick Golis is not willing to let the life counter go into negative numbers like on Magic Online. Yeah. And as soon as we go to the attack step, he's like, yes, I'm sure I want to concede this game. And we see 2 dual lands for Nick Golis to open up. So he's got all 3 of his colors represented in those 2 lands. And Druid of the Cowl comes down for Yam.
This has been one of the very best 2-drops in this format.
Pegasus Courser, deck that had previously looked to be just red-black. We see what's going on here a little better.
And Nicholas Scholes is actually playing a black-white deck, wherein he's just splashing red for...
Heroic Reinforcements.
I think that's it. A pair of Heroic Reinforcements. They're pretty good.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Only 2. He has 3 of them in his card pool. Only playing 2, it looks like. Yam is going to attack with his Druid of the Cowl. He's got Titanic Growth equity at this point.
Yeah. threat of activation.
And we see he's a little tight-minded. Does he have a Vivian Reed in his deck?
He does.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a pretty nice one. His
deck looks really good. Here's the Pegasus Courser. And I'll see if Yam is willing to... it doesn't matter. He's going to tap his mana. I'm going to assume... Oh, wow, another Leanin' War Leader.
Yeah, we hadn't seen one all weekend, and now back-to-back. This is the rare that loves me most in this set, by the way.
Oh,
it's
yeah?
the rare I open the most. Which is a pretty nice one to, to have.
All right, so what is Yam going to do here? Oh, he finds mana. He taps 5 and plays a Thornhide Walls. And he's like, okay, but Nick is able to make that Leanin' War Leader fly with the Pegasus Courser here.
Yeah, and
yeah, he'll run a cat into the Thornhide Walls, but one will get through
point alive.
Too. Yeah.
And Nick Goals is at one of those situations where his play this turn is going to be incredible. Whatever happens this turn is going to be very good for him no matter what it is. He's just deciding how he wants to absolutely ruin.
All right, you see Nick thinking about it. He knows he's going to attack. I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah, it looks like he has a Luminous Bonds in hand. So I think what he's thinking about is whether or not he wants to Luminous Bonds that Thornhide Wolves pre-combat so that both of the cats get in and neither of them die.
All right, well, no. Well, wow, he's got heroic reinforcements.
Yeah, and I think... I mean, oh my goodness, this is so much damage now. The cats are not going to get pumped, though, by this reinforcements.
Right, yeah, the cats will not get the bonus.
Yeah.
So now he gets 2 cats. There's some discussion about... All right, they're just waiting for the judge to bring those over. So that's 2 1/1 life-linking cats, 2 2/2 soldier tokens, a 5/5 Leanin' War Leader, and a 2/4 Pegasus Courser. And, yep, one of the cats is just going to get eaten. That's 5, 10, 12 damage coming through.
7 already.
He's going to go to 7. Yeah, Nick is going to gain 2 life here. And, oh, by the way, you still need to deal with my Leanin' War Leader because that's just going to keep happening to you.
Yeah. By the way, I have this rare. It's quite good.
Well, how about Vivian Reed? I was just going to use that to kill the Pegasus Courser and keep the War Leader down on the ground, but we know Luminous Bonds is in Yam Wing Chun's immediate future, and that's just going to be lethal here. Yep, Luminous Bonds attack you, and Nick Goals evens things up. This is a little bit of a slugfest.
Yeah.
Oh boy, it looks like Nick Goals, 5 cards going into a crucial Game 3. You see him scrying there, pushing a card to the bottom.
Yeah, the winner of this match, pretty X2-1 draw in.
I think so. I'm not certain. There were some people who took a draw last round. I'm going to assume X2 and X and 2 can draw in, but anything can happen. People, no one's obligated to take a draw.
That's absolutely true. You can get paired down,
Yeah, lots of stuff can happen.
You can get paired up and the person wants to be on the play.
Whatever you're going to do, the first step involves winning. Winning this match. All right, Loxodon Linebreaker comes down, and a shock takes it out from Yam Wing Chun. And Yam Very happy, obviously, to make every one-for-one trade he can against his opponent when his opponent's down to 5 cards to start the game. He's done pretty well for himself, though. He's up to 4 lands. We know he's got 3 colors. Looks like a bunch of black cards languishing in his hand right now, including a Regal Bloodlord.
Yeah, I don't think he has a single card that's only white left in his hand. He has, a heroic recent reinforcements that's white and red, but besides that, it's just a pile of black cards here.
All right, yeah, what do you got? Attacks for 4.
Do my quick cleansing Nova check on Nicholas Gull's deck list. It's not there. Okay.
Yeah. And there's Thornhide Wolves. Just a meat and potatoes card. It's just done great work all weekend long. Overshadowed by a lot of the spicier cards that are out there.
Yeah, there are so many good uncommon 5-mana creatures, like Siegebreaker Giants, Herald of Faiths, Herald of Dawns.
Yeah. Yamwing Chun gets in for 8 here. And there's Vivian Reed. He's going to tick that up to 6 loyalty. He's going to find him another Thornhide Wolves.
Woof.
Wow. Here comes the Wolf Pack. Yeah, wow. Nicholas Goals extends the hand. Yamwing Chun goes to 12-2, and he is in excellent shape for another top 8 here in what's been a really great run for him over the last 2 seasons of Magic. So great job there by Yamwing Chun and Vivian Reed. Kind of like icing on the cake there. It was really just that Thornhide Wolves and his opponent being a little bit constrained there.
Yeah, I mean, he just had the pressure. His opponent couldn't find the right mana, and that was it.
All right, and that's it for round 14. We've got one more round of Magic before we get to our top 8, which means right after that, we get back to more drafting. And, that's it. We're going to get to see who is eventually crowned the winner of Grand Prix Sacramento. Stay with us the rest of the way. Don't go anywhere. Got a couple of brief messages, and then we'll be back with round 15 of Grand Prix Sacramento.